Welcome to another Fantasy Goodfellas video where we talk about the top 24 quarterback rankings for Week 16. You ready? Those Fantasy Goodfellas.
Boom, boom, boom. Rolling on the field.
Those Fantasy Goodfellas. All right, before we get started on this week's rankings, let's just take a look at last week's rankings and see what happened. All right, so if you look at last week's rankings, this is what the rankings look like, right? But in my mind, I always want to see how they did. So the first thing you want to do is look at injuries. You had Lamar Jackson did not play, Mike White didn't play, and Russell Wilson didn't play. Now let's look at who made the top 24. Now you had Justin Herbert didn't make the top 24. Mac Jones didn't make the top 4, and Daniel Jones did not make the 24. So that's important. That was a fairly good week for, guessing. But if you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 19 out of 24 is not too good, in my opinion. But the other thing I like to point out as well is who scored. And what did it look like? So if you look at the people who, 4 touchdowns, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and I guess Jalen Hurts, that's what it looks like for that. And the last thing I want to take a look at before we move on is this is who made it. So if you look at Jalen Hurts was number 1, Josh Allen number 2. So again, and Kirk Cousins was 3. He was ranked 10. You always want to look at the top 4, 5, see how they did, but I think Justin Herbert was the biggest disappointment this week because he was ranked 25 because he scored no touchdowns. So, all right, now let's explain what you should expect in our video. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the top 24 quarterback rankings for Week 16, and then we're also going to kind of show you some stats, see how they're trending, so that way you can make your own decisions with this week's lineup. And if you're watching this video, it's because you're in the playoffs, so we're trying to make sure that we can help you set your lineups. All right, let's get started. At number 1, we have Patrick Mahomes, home versus Seattle. Now Mahomes is playing lights out lately. Look, he even rushed in for the end zone. But this is a quarterback that you can always depend on. If you look at week over week rankings, he's top 13 every week and mostly in the top 10, so you should expect that. Let's go here real quick. We got a question. I got Hurts. Who should I pick up off waivers? Rodgers, Goff, Purdy, Minshew. I'm learning Rodgers or Goff. Goff sucks on the road though. So let's look at I'm gonna help you out right here. So let's just quickly look at some. We're gonna go back to last week, right? So let's go back here to predictions. I'm gonna try to answer your question. So if we go to predictions, we go to last week's predictions, and then we want to see all the players. This is what last week looked like. So the question is Rodgers or Goff. So let's look at Rodgers real quick. This is what Rodgers' stats looked like. This is that's how many yards he scored. That's how many touchdowns, and this is his point. So he's been fairly well. I don't know what league you're in. So now let's look at Goff. Where is he? Oh, maybe I have to go back a week more. So Goff. Jared Goff. This is all right. That's his yardage. This is his touchdowns. And this is his points. So if you look, Rodgers has been a little bit more consistent. He's going against Miami. The only thing they're playing at Miami, and Miami's looking to have a comeback, bounce back game. So I would choose Goff in this situation, just because of how it's played out. So I would choose Goff. We're going to move back to our rankings, And we're going to go to week 16. So let's just continue on the rankings. I'm going to let you know that we stopped. I'll go Goff. Rodgers is going against Miami. I would pick Goff. All right, let's continue with our rankings. Thanks for putting a reply in. At number 2, Josh Allen at Chicago. Josh Allen, he's having a very good game. Good season, I might say. He had 4 passing touchdowns, 304 receiving yards, and that's in a snow game. So imagine when he's not playing in a snow game, Josh Allen, you should expect that just to be continuing like he's doing. I'm going to go through these rankings pretty fast. At number 3, Justin Herbert at Indianapolis. Herbert didn't score last week. That hurts him. And if you want to look overall what he's trending, look, he's trending kind of down in my opinion, but I think he's going to have a bounce back game. I don't know if he's going to be the top 3, but he should have a bounce back game just because he should score this week. At number 4, Joe Burrow at New England. Now, 4 passing TDs, 200 passing yards. I like the TDs, don't like the passing yards, but let's look at how that team did overall, because that's what we want to look at. Who's his tight end? Tight end got a touchdown. All the receivers pretty much got a touchdown, but you just expect more yards to go that way. I don't think Burrow's going to have another bad game, especially when you got those stud wide receivers on there. So I'm going to go that Burrow should have an excellent game versus New England. At number 5, Justin Herbert. Nope. How did I have 2 Justin Herberts? Not good. I'll have to. Let's see if we can kind of go live, and I can fix that a little bit. This is the one thing about doing a live video, is that we have a chance to update that. And I'm going to update that while I'm talking to you guys. So if you guys are watching and have any questions, this is a live video. So what we want to do is we want to talk about. Let's see. That's what I want to do. This is a live video, so let's see if we can do this real quick here. Okay. Now I'm just fixing the database. So Justin. Aha. All right. Please. 657. All right, so I'm working on fixing this, and this is a live video, so I like to fix these before I move on from anything, and that just gives me an opportunity to show you how my stat machine, very proud of that stat machine, that we can fix that. Update players. And there we go. Predictions 6, 5, 7. Quarterbacks. All right, let's see if that fixes the. All right, that does. So let's go back to these stats. Now I fixed that. We have Justin Fields is actually 3rd and Herbert is 5th. Now I kind of like that a little bit better, just because Herbert hasn't been playing too well. So if you go back to Fields, he had 2 passing TDs, 152 yards. This is his passing yards, probably averaging 160 passing yards, and about a touchdown and a half, 2 touchdowns. So I like Fields at that. Justin Herbert going against Indianapolis, they just had that big collapse. I expect Herbert to get into the end zone. I think this is a fair ranking for him. At number 6, Trevor Lawrence versus the New York Jets. Now, do you expect Trevor Lawrence to have 4 passing TDs every game? I don't. I know he had an excellent game, but if you look, 4 passing TDs, even though he's done that twice in a row, I don't expect him to do it 3 times in a row. So I think he's going to have a little bit less touchdowns. Hey, I'll give him the rank top 12. I'm just not going to give him, don't think he's going to best 6. I think he'll be a little lower. At number 7, Geno Smith at Kansas City. I expect this to be a shootout. You got Geno Smith. He didn't do too well in this game, and if you want to see how the ball was moving, they didn't do well at all around. So expect more for Geno Smith, especially with those stud receivers. They're going against Kansas City. Been a little bit skeptical about Kansas City's defense, but that's where he ranks. At number 8, Dak Prescott versus Philadelphia. Dallas scored, I think, 34 points. They had 3 passing TDs. They just didn't win the game. So he was ranked 8th last week and had a pretty good game. And this is what Noah Brown had 2 receiving TDs. That's unexpected, especially with that team. But Dak Prescott's ranked 8. They're just going against Philadelphia, one of the best defenses. So I think it's a stretch, even though it's Prescott. I think it's a stretch to be 8. At number 9, Tua Tagovailoa versus Green Bay. Miami's looking for that comeback game. I know they were in it at Buffalo, but for the last 3 weeks, they just haven't been playing well. And I think that's the part that they need to come back. They're playing in Miami. That should put them back on track. They got a lot to play for, a lot of pride there. I expect Tua to do really well. At number 10, Kirk Cousins, home versus the New York Giants. Listen, if you know you're riding that high, that team is on a definitely kicking butt. I expect him to do really well this week. That helps the camaraderie on a team. But if you want to look at Kirk Cousins, what he's done, he's been only ranked the top. That was his best week, and he was ranked 3rd. So still think he's kind of like, he's just top 10, just not, don't expect him to do better than that. At number 11, Aaron Rodgers at Miami. Aaron Rodgers having a decent season, seems to get about 200 receiving yards and seems to kind of, get in the end zone once a week. So if you're expecting 220 yards and a touchdown, I'll go with Rodgers. Seems a little high. Number 12, Jared Goff. Look, some of the rankings, we just had a question. Who would you rank higher? They got Aaron Rodgers a little higher, but if you're going against Carolina, I'd take Goff any day. Might have not have done it last week, but if you look at what he's done overall, if you look at his points production, he's been kind of 30 points, his TDs. The question is, can he get in the end zone twice? I think he's due for another 2 touchdown week. I'd pick Goff. I'd expect Goff to be a little bit higher than Rodgers this coming week. At number 13, Daniel Jones at Minnesota. That's going to be a good game. I think that's what it's going to be, a very important game. But look at Daniel Jones. What are we expecting with Daniel Jones? If you average 180 yards and a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, that's what you get. But what did he do last week? No touchdowns. So now we're expecting him to get 2 touchdowns. I think that's a little high for him here at 13. Although it's going to be an important game, it's a little high. Number 14, Tom Brady at Arizona. Tom Brady, 3 passing TDs. He was ranked 12th last week. Look at this. Ranked 12, and you got 3 passing TDs and 312 yards. What do you expect to be even better than that? Anyways, he's playing Arizona. Arizona's not doing too well. But look at this. Mike Evans is dropping on this list. You got Russell Gage, 2 touchdowns. Godwin, the yards and the touchdowns. Mike Evans just falling out of favor. But I kind of like Tom Brady this week. I expect Tom Brady to do a little bit better than this ranking that we have him at. So I expect him to do a little bit better than 14. At 15, Brock Purdy, home versus Washington. Here you go. Here's a player that everybody loves. He's a rookie. He's He's holding it together. But if you have Christian McCaffrey on your team, you can see why you hold it together. Give him the ball, get him involved in the offense. But here's what I like to see. Look at those receivers. 19 yards, 16 yards, 31 yards. That's not cutting it. 272 yards. But they are playing Washington, and they're playing at home. I think he can have a decent game. I like where he is at 15. At 16, Derek Carr at Pittsburgh. Okay. In the words of Richard, give the ball to Davante Adams. That's your guy. That's what you need to use. Just give him the ball. Because look, Keelan Cole, that's your top receiver, and Davante Adams? Come on. Sorry, I had to sneeze for a second. All right, let's go back here. Let's go back to our... So you got Darren Waller here. There, you got Darren Waller. He's starting to pick up. Now you got couple tight ends there you get to pick and choose from. But this is... I think Derek Carr can have a decent game. Who's he playing? He's also playing Pittsburgh. Hey, I like Derek Carr this week. Just give it to Davante Adams. You should be fine. At 17, Deshaun Watson versus New Orleans. Here's the guy with the pedigree. The question is he's going to score? He's taken off a little slow. Touchdown last week. Touchdown. I think he's going to have that breakout game this week. I really do. I think Watson's due for a breakout game just to show why they did it. And the thing I want to look at is this is what's going to tell you. If you look at this overall, they're not dependent on Watson. But if you want to do well, you're going to have to start a lot of rushes, a lot of running backs involved. He needs to prove himself. So I think the game plan is to give Watson a lot of chances to throw. I expect Watson to do better than 17 here. At 18, Lamar Jackson, home versus Atlanta. Lamar Jackson, that's if he plays. So if he plays, we all know what Jackson can do. The question is, he's going against Atlanta. If there's any a game to put him in there and do well, it's going to be this week. At 19, Matt Ryan versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, they're just coming off that big collapse. That is going to be huge. 182 passing yards, 1 passing TD. Let's look what he did all season. I think that's what we got to look at is what do we expect from him, the passing yards. But, we're kind of getting near the end of these rankings, so it really doesn't matter. At 20, Sam Darnold versus Detroit. Sam Darnold, he can have some weeks, and he's definitely got DJ Moore on his team. So I think that goes to the question: can he put it together this week? And if you need to, you're going against Detroit. So I think that's why I like Goff in this situation. At 21, Ryan Tannehill, home versus Houston. Tannehill's not going to have to do that much. So, look, this is what he did last week. I think they're just going to give it to Derrick Henry. I don't expect Tannehill to come off with much this week. So just give it to, I think that's pretty much where I expect him to be. Let's just look last week. He was ranked 23. I kind of expect him to be right around the same spot. At 22, Jalen Hurts. I think he's so low because you don't know if he's going to play or not. But if he does play, they got him 22. We know what he can do. They're going against Dallas. Last week, 315 passing yards and three rushing TDs. No matter who they put in there, if it's somebody other than Jalen Hurts, you expect that ball to be not vultured by Jalen Hurts scoring those touchdowns. At number 23, Andy Dalton at Cleveland. This is an important game, but you're not going to do much if you're only passing the ball 17 times. Yeah, you got 2 TDs. Let's see where those TDs went. 2 to Juwan Johnson. You don't expect Juwan Johnson to get just the 2 touchdowns, so I think the ball is going to be spread out a little bit more. Probably is going to go Olave's week, but they're just going to have to keep just giving it to their Kamara. At 24, Zach Wilson, home versus Jacksonville. Zach Wilson, he ended up going there. Mike White's there. Zach Wilson, the thing I like about Zach Wilson, he's got a lot of pride. He took the blame. That says a lot as a leader. I think he's going to have another fairly good week. I think he's going to do better than 24. And if you look at 2 touchdowns, I think Zach Wilson's going to do better. I think he's going to do well. I think you can be able to count on him. And that's our top 24 quarterback rankings for week 16. If you made it this far in the video, you must be in the playoffs looking for some extra information. Don't forget, you can always like and subscribe to our video. We're going to try to put some more stats so you can help make some better decisions. All right. Thanks for watching. See you again next week. Those fantasy Goodfellas.
Rolling on the field.